everyone. We're going to get started. I think everyone's so excited to see each other in person again. I get it. All right, I'd like to start things off by thanking our wonderful string trio. We've got Heidi Pohl here. Oh, yep, let's thank them. We have Heidi Pohl, class of 2022 on violin. We have Mia Connery, class of 20 on viola, and Adela Skoronsky, class of 20 on cello. Let's thank them. Well, good morning, everyone, again. My name is Desiree Chen. I'm Senior Director of Communications and External Relations here at Elmhurst University and a proud 23-year resident of Elmhurst. I'm delighted to be here with you this morning in person at the 52nd Annual President's Day Breakfast. I look forward to sharing this time with you and to hearing from Mayor Levin and President VanAken before we all go on to enjoy this great day. If you're able, could you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One of the highlights of the fall term was homecoming. As part of our sesquicentennial celebrations, it featured our first ever campus fireworks show, a parade, a family fun area that drew not only students and alumni, but also many people from the Elmhurst community. And on the last day, we had a vintage baseball game between teams from the city of Elmhurst and Elmhurst University. So I'd like to share a video with you now with some homecoming highlights. And after that, our chaplain, the Reverend H. Scott Matheny, will give the invocation.
It is a joy to have all of you back here, and what a way to start St. Patty's Day, a great parade. Last night was a wonderful time. If you didn't see, we had a great game. Beloved, it is my joy as the chaplain to call you out to be a part of a community that thinks, that cares, that loves, that seeks justice, and ask Almighty God, join us for this time and all. Let us join our hearts together in prayer, beloved. Let us pray. And the beauty of this morning, the sun rises up and the psalmist declares, "This is the day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it." As Elmhurst University, fashioned in your grand design, Almighty God, now sits strong 150 years. Summon in each of these gathered this morning a sense of gratitude for what has been, joy for this day, and grandeur, moral grandeur for what shall be. For our President Troy and Dr. Annette VanAken, we give you thanks. For our community of civic leaders that organize and lead our country, we give you thanks. For this community and Elmhurst, knit closely together, that young men and women might come, grow, and become all that you, Almighty God, invite and intend for each of them and all of us. And then in our becoming, we might reach out into a hurting, broken world, offering our best minds, bodies, hearts, souls, our spirits, that can soar to heights and into the depths of despair as we hold Ukraine in our hearts this morning. Bless this time, our deliberations, the joy of what it is, for life is precious, and we have been given this day for thankfulness, for joy, for you. All this we pray in your holy name. Amen. Thank you all. It's a joy to see these wonderful faces around here. Desiree, I think you're next.
Thank you, Scott. One of our President's Breakfast traditions is to recognize some of the many people who serve our community and help to keep it vibrant and strong. So first, I'd like to recognize some groups and have you stand and be recognized. First, I'd like to recognize our elected leaders at the state, circuit court, and county levels, or the state, county board, and state legislative levels. So would you please stand? Sorry, the county, state, and and our judges. Would you please stand? Next, I'd like to thank our Elmhurst city officials, including our mayor, city council members, clerk, and city manager. Would you please stand? Now I'd like to recognize the leaders and board members of Elmhurst's outstanding parks and schools. Would you please stand? Finally, I'd like to recognize the people who volunteer their time and talents to serving on our city advisory boards and commissions, including the Economic Development Commission, City of Elmhurst, Elmhurst University Commission, Public Arts Commission, Commission on Youth, and others. Could you stand, please? Our thanks to you all for your service. Well, now it's time for breakfast. Our friends at Chartwell's will soon come around to release tables, so please enjoy, and we'll be back to resume our program shortly. Thank you. All right, good morning, everyone. We're back. Everybody grab a... Yeah, I know. Joyce, go ahead. I think we're going to get started. So everyone grab a fresh cup of coffee or refill your water glasses. Thanks so much. We're going to begin our program now. It's my privilege to introduce now for some remarks the Elmhurst Mayor, Scott Levin. Oh, Scott, hold on, Scott. Let me introduce you first. I thought that was enough. I have some good things to say about you. Before being elected mayor in 2021, Mayor Levin served as 5th Ward Alderman for more than a decade, chairing several committees and also serving as acting mayor. Professionally, he's an attorney and partner at the Howard & Howard law firm in Chicago. In the community, Mayor Levin is a past chairman and an active member of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He also was an active member of the Focus 205 Community Engagement Facilitating Team. He served as pro bono legal counsel to Special Kids Day and Life Education Center USA, and in leadership roles with the Chiefs, Chicago Blues, and York High School hockey clubs. Mayor Levin and his wife, Marissa, have been Elmhurst residents for more than 25 years, and their two children, Julia and Joseph, are graduates of York High School and recent graduates of the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Please join me now in welcoming Mayor Scott Levin.
Now I know who I am. All right. Well, you know, I didn't see Lee Daniels here. I wanted to give him something green, so I'm sorry he couldn't be here today. I know the president must be a little tired after all the festivities last night. I see my fellow aldermen out there at the kids' table. Hi, guys. All right. On December 7th, I was honored to be invited to speak on Founders Day and congratulate the university on its sesquicentennial. That means 150-year anniversary. My theme today is community, and the university is a very important part of our Elmhurst city community. I've described the relationship between the university and the city as symbiotic. We support each other, and we have a historic bond. There is a plaque in the train station which most people don't see or recognize, but it reads as follows. On December 6, 1871, Inspector Carl F. Franz and 14 students arrived at this train stop from Evansville, Indiana, in order to establish an institution which eventually became known as Elmhurst College. We, and I'm quoting, I'm not saying this today, we commemorate this event with this plaque in the college's 125th anniversary in this year, 1996. And I know the historic fundraising you're doing, so if you pop a few bucks, we'll get you a place in the new train station for that. But that historical perspective reminded me of an article from our own Elmhurst History Museum that talked about the Great Chicago Fire that occurred on October 8, 1871, just 2 months before these 14 students arrived at our train station. The story in this article, probably written by Dave Oberg, says that Elmhurst residents could see the conflagration from their homes and that almost 100,000 people were rendered homeless because of the fire. Chicago residents came pouring into Elmhurst the next day. Interestingly, it reports that Henry King, a wealthy clothing merchandiser, fled with his family to his summer home, Clover Lawn, located on St. Charles and Cottage Hill. So this is where the summer homes were. Many who fled the fire took up residence here, and Frederick Bates, who built the mansion in which our historical museum is located, said, quote, "The town did not begin to grow to any appreciable measure until the Great Chicago Fire in 1871. So ever since the fall of 1871, the university and the city have grown up together, and that is the symbiotic relationship to which I refer. And there's so many examples of how we, the city and the university, relate and support each other. This breakfast itself is called the President's Community Breakfast. Look who's here. There are representatives from almost every governmental entity, key leaders throughout the community. I was just commenting, I'm glad they didn't introduce all the important people because we would never make it to the parade. Our residents also benefit from this relationship. Last evening, I looked at the university's website under community events. There's the Elmhurst College annual, I don't know if you call it university now, jazz festival that's been held every February for the last 55 years. There's the Rudy Shoddy lecture series. George will be speaking on March 9th, and I'll be attending that. There's just a whole array of activities that are offered to our residents. And I looked at today's program and the people who are listed on it and their involvement in our community. Desiree Chen, the communications director, was also a past chair of the Elmhurst Chamber. She was on the Focus 205 planning board for the school district. Scott Matheny, our university chaplain, I say our, see, it's really your pastor, was gracious enough to invite me to the Interfaith Council, which led to the appointment of one of the pastors on our youth commission. And Troy VanAken and I know we can count on each other, and we share a very strong and great relationship. And even after the university's baseball team in the vintage game beat us 30-15, but you got to throw one when it's a 150th anniversary year. So at noon today, we will be having our St. Patrick's Day Parade. It's been a long time coming. Jim O'Connor, who chairs the parade committee, was talking to me unrelated to my remarks today. He said, you know, without the 126 Elmhurst University student athletes who volunteer as parade staff, we couldn't have a parade. And that's just another example of how we work together. And in the spirit of intergovernmental cooperation, I contacted the U.S. Weather Service, and they gave us this. So I hope you'll all come out and join us. And finally, after many years of polarizing politics, is there a school board president here? Yeah, there you go. And you know, a special thanks to our school boards who take a lot of heat on this, but I hope we can jointly share our concern and prayers with the people of Ukraine. Enjoy your day. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Scott. And now it's my privilege to tell you about President Troy and Dr. Annette VanAken. Dr. Annette VanAken has worked for more than 30 years in the field of education, holding a bachelor's degree in early childhood education and master's degree in elementary education and a doctorate in curriculum and instruction. She has taught, conducted research, and developed programs at the K-12 and collegiate levels, and has volunteered on various literacy, early childhood, and arts committees and organizations. She's also organized and hosted a number of special events and activities that support the institutional priorities of Elmhurst University. And she's an ardent Blue Jay, committed to the success of our students by working to enhance the student experience and the institution as a whole. Which leads me to Troy VanAken, who began his term as 14th president of Elmhurst University in July of 2016. Since his arrival, the university has seen historic enrollments and record fundraising results, while also achieving a notable increase in student retention rates and a stable financial foundation on which to build. Under President VanAken's leadership, Elmhurst College became Elmhurst University in July of 2020. The historic name change, a more accurate reflection of what Elmhurst has become since its founding in 1871. President VanAken also is a professor of mathematics and has served on several NCAA committees. Before coming to Elmhurst, Dr. VanAken was president and a mathematics professor at Thiel College in Greenville, Pennsylvania. President Troy and Dr. VanAken have two grown children, Trey and Gabriella, who are both in medical school currently. As first-generation college graduates, the VanAkens believe in the transformational power of education and have dedicated their careers to creating similar opportunities for new generations of students. Dr. VanAken, President VanAken, would you please stand? President VanAken will give his State of the University remarks shortly, but first, we'd like to share this short video.
The first chapter of this story is written in stone. It remains readable for anyone who takes a second to look skyward on the approach to the front door of Old Main. Halfway up the crenellated tower is an inscription. Pro Seminar der Deutschen E.V. Synod von N.A. Long before Elmhurst College became Elmhurst University, it was the proseminary of the German Evangelical Synod of the Northwest. It was established in 1871 to prepare farm boys and parsons' sons to become Midwestern ministers and educators. The inscription on Old Main is in German because that was the language of the church the boys had been called to serve. The faculty in Elmhurst's first year numbered exactly one. The 24 students slept in one crowded attic. The daily schedule started with ringing bells at 5:30 and was filled with worship and study and music lessons, broken up by endless farm chores. For 150 years, Elmhurst has continued to honor the pioneering spirit of its founders. In 1930, Elmhurst admitted 46 women to the student body. During World War II, the college defied prejudices to admit 4 Japanese-American students who had been relocated to internment camps. In 1951, Elmhurst admitted its first African-American students and began welcoming international students. But while Elmhurst has transformed itself in profound ways, in other ways, it has remained remarkably true to its roots. Elmhurst alumni Reinhold and H. Richard Niebuhr had a profound impact on the university and on the world. The brothers were among the preeminent American theologians of the 20th century, as their scholarly work helped shape the political and religious thinking of their time and beyond. An ever-widening circle is how H. Richard, the institution's sixth president, described the development of Elmhurst College in its early years. The students who bunked in the drafty attic of the proseminary might be amazed at today's park-like campus. The size of the faculty, the array of academic offerings, and the number of languages, cultures, and traditions represented in today's student body. But they might also recognize that this vastly transformed institution continues to do the same vital work it began 150 years ago of preparing young people to make a positive impact on a world in need of their talents.
Well, wow. I've seen that video probably 50 times. I saw it 5 times this last week. We were in Los Angeles and Denver, kind of spreading the good word about things going on here on campus, and it touches me every time to this day. I mean, have you ever had a song that you really liked? And I don't know, if after maybe 500 or 1,000 times it'll get a little bit old, but it seems to be something that really touches me. It's so great to be here in person again with you. I've really missed the energy and warmth from being able to be together, and knock on wood, we're hopefully at the tail end of this pandemic, and we're able to do a lot more of this than the past. Like Mayor Levin, I do want to begin by saying that our heart goes out to those that are impacted by the situation in Ukraine. We have students here that are Ukrainian. We have Russian students here, and they've reached out, and we've even had a session this last week to sort of try to understand that pretty complex situation. And I know the community likewise, has individuals that are impacted in that region of the world, and so our heart goes out to those that are negatively impacted. Before I begin, now Desiree always gets nervous when I go off script, but I do want to recognize a few people. If you were here, and I was here at 10 o'clock last night, and that made me leave because she said, our carriage turns into a pumpkin at 10, not at midnight. But this room was filled with over 1,000 students at the President's Ball. Upstairs, I did disclose to the city manager we had a casino. I don't know if that's legal or not, but we had a casino up here after a tremendous NCAA first round basketball win, and how these individuals turned this room, into what it is now, ready for all of you, because it was, it was bumping and it was going, and I'm sure it went till well after midnight. There's a lot of people that helped me be able to be up here. Desiree and her supervisor, Jonathan Shear, in marketing and communications. My assistant, Molly, and Brittany are here. The IT staff, the facilities people. I mean, they do unbelievable work, and I would be remiss if I didn't also add our partners at Chartwells. I mean, they likewise were here that late. So. The last time we were here together was in March 2020. Less than a week later, we suspended in-person classes, and thus began the pandemic that we've been kind of working through. And so it's great. We had to move from a college to a university a little bit virtually, because at that time we had to be socially distanced, but we were able to do that and make the best of that particular situation. And so this is your first Elmhurst University community breakfast this year. So. I just want a couple people to recognize a few people, and I would ask you to please stand. Ed Momkus, the chair of the board, Hugh McLean, the vice chair of the board, all the former and current trustees, would you also please stand and be recognized? I'd also like my president's cabinet to stand, and I'd like to call out Julie Suderman, our new vice president for business and finance. We took her away from the Big Ten, so we were able to do that. But other cabinet members, Bruce King, our inaugural vice president for equity and inclusion, Kurt Ashley. I also see Andrew Knapp. Be careful, he's our fundraising VP, and he's got $5 million more before we reach our $50 million goal, but he's going to go beyond that. But also Dean Pribanow and Phil Reardon. They've been heading up our COVID task force in addition to being Dean of Students and our Vice President for Academic Affairs. They've just done a great job over the last several years. We've got a few other Founders Medal winners. Mr. Green Jacket, Ralph Pachanio, if you would please stand. You will see Ralph at the basketball game this afternoon with his crew, like you do every basketball game. He has been coming to this breakfast, I was told, since 1970. So I was 3 that year. Oh, 71. Okay, I was 4. I was 4 then. All right. Joel Herder, but it's Dr. Joel Herder now, is a founder's degree recipient and also an honorary degree, and was our commencement speaker just a couple years ago. And if you like coming to the George Will, you can thank that to Marcia Golderman and her late husband, Bob, also Founders Medal recipients. Thank you for being here. I'm not a pin or jewelry person, but I put this on here for those President's Circle members. If you're a member of the President's Circle, which means you give $1,000 or more annually to the institution, please stand and be recognized. And among that is the Rice family, who's here. One flew in from Washington, D.C., and we're celebrating, I can't tell the birthday, but it was a big one, and it's not 90 and it's not 70, so you figure that out. We're celebrating. But they just endowed a scholarship in memory of husband and father, Elmhurst University geography professor, Dr. Paul Rice. And they represent what makes this place special. People that give back to further lives of individuals that are at this point even anonymous to you. You don't know who they're going to be. They're future generations of students, and we're so glad you were able to be with us today. And I appreciate everybody else being here, and this anniversary has really given us an opportunity to reflect on who we are and the journey that we had to get here. It was great to see so many of you here on December 6th during our Founders Day and Homecoming. And as you saw in the video, the fireworks were amazing. We had great weather at Homecoming, not so much on Founders Day, but maybe you got to join in some of the horse-drawn carriages, which made a nice thing. The ice sculpture, the beautiful ice sculpture, lasted for days because the weather was so cool at that particular time. But the students really got a chance to, have a fun experience, but also to reflect on those that came before them. Because let's face it, we all stand on the shoulders of many of individuals that paved the way for us. It also reminds us that we share this wonderful community together. And I'm so pleased that several Elmhurst organizations have really stepped up in this time. You did a good job, Scott, of talking about how Inspector Kranz came to the train station and started here. The town was named Cottage Hill just 2 years before we got here. It changed its name to Elmhurst 2 years before 1871. And in fact, the town Cottage Hill was named after a stagecoach stop that was at the intersection of Cottage Hill and St. Charles. And so as Annette and I walk around our neighborhood, because the president's home's right on that corner, we look across the street and think, wow, what history we're connected in this city. Also, Thomas Bryan was a wealthy Chicago business person. He owned a lot of land here, and he donated 30 acres of what now is a 48-acre Arboretum campus. I'm not one who really likes to go back. I want to kind of move forward, but if I could go back, how about 60 acres? How about 90 acres? Could we have gotten a little more? I mean, it couldn't have been very much back then, but that would be the one thing that we would do. But throughout this year, many city-related institutions have recognized and helped us celebrate the sesquicentennial. The History Museum, in the back of the room here. The History Museum had an exhibit, Elmhurst at 150, which a number of us got to view and enjoy. We've talked a lot about the vintage baseball game, whether they were, giving us an easy one or not. I actually think the city was wishing for a lockout that particular day, like we're experiencing now. The Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce Gala is something where they're recognized the university as Business of the Year. The Elmhurst Independent did a special 20-page edition to celebrate our history. And the the park board passed a resolution commemorating our anniversary, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Just wait till you see our float. But our students will also be wearing, we give them swag bags to entice them to come there. So those that aren't working the event, they'll have a sweatshirt on that says, "Lucky to be a J." And they're lucky to be at this institution. They're lucky to be part of this community. What a phenomenal backdrop for many first generation and other students who really need this type of warm, welcoming environment to be able to get to where they want to go in life and to reach their full potential. So thank you, everyone, in that regard. And this community also has many partnerships that have been formed over the years, not just this year. We share facilities with the Park District, baseball diamonds at Butterfield Park, softball diamond at Salt Creek Park, and we also renovated together a synthetic turf field at Barron's Park just a few years ago. The city and the university, I couldn't imagine having a better relationship, and I've been in some other towns where it wasn't quite the same. It was actually a little adversarial. But whether it be the police department, the fire department, public safety, the public works department, and our facilities department, they all work together to try to make sure that we do the right thing for the community and the students that we have the good fortune of having here. The work of the city of Elmhurst and the University Commission is something that is also important to us, paving the way forward. The Elmhurst Chamber and the Job Path and the Endowed Internship Program is something that I know has personally touched several lives, even though it's just now in its infancy. Our students do consulting projects in the city. Our faculty have done some things for local businesses, and we have a great cultural partnership, whether that be with the History Museum, the Art Museum, or even the Elmhurst Public Library. And finally, the work that we do in conjunction with the Elmhurst Hospital, which is the location of our state-of-the-art SIM Center, is a powerful selling point for our nursing students. And the overall prosperity of this institution just would not be possible if we didn't have those partnerships, and for that we thank you significantly. And so after a year of remote learning, we had, and COVID restrictions, we had a wonderful return to campus. I'm going to wrap up with a short video, a very short video, showing you how excited our students were to come back to campus. It was a highly successful fall term. And for 1.5 centuries, our goal has been to educate and support an ever-widening circle of students with diverse interests and needs. And since the time of our founding in 1871, at that time we prepared students, to be teachers and preachers. We still prepare students to be preachers and teachers, but also supply chain analysts, digital marketing specialists, jazz musicians, and starting this fall, doctors of nurse practitioner. Our first doctoral degree will begin. So just a little bit more about our current students. For this fall, we enrolled the second largest class of new students in Elmhurst history. We also enrolled the largest class of graduate students in our history, and that was a third year in a row we've been setting that record. 43% of our students this fall would identify as first-generation college students. 30% of our student body is LatinX, and we've now become a Hispanic serving institution to mirror the region around us, and something I'm personally proud of, and actually you saw some of the people checking your coats or helping you in that represent this. We now have more than 165 international students at Elmhurst, representing over 50 countries. So we've brought a global perspective to campus, in addition to all the wonderful experiences we do with Study Away. And of course, we've been really focusing on our fiscal health. Until this last little bit of choppiness, we really were seeing our endowment grow, and that doesn't mean we don't need to have it grow more, because we could always use more money in that regard. But I remember when Annette and I had the good fortune of coming to Elmhurst, our endowment was $86 million. Before this last few weeks, we were probably pushing $190 million in endowment and investments that were available here. And so Julie, you've got a big job now. It's tripled in the last few years in terms of what you need to do to help us with our finance staff. But that focus on our finances we're not trying to build endowment for endowment's sake. We're trying to have long-term ballast in the ship to take future choppy waters. And we experienced some of that. And because we've had resources, we were better able to meet the needs of students, especially those most impacted by the pandemic. Last year, we had a record year of fundraising. We raised $10.01 million, and we had several trustees and other alums, really step up and give us some great support. This year is off to an even stronger start. We've raised more than $9 million this fiscal year, but as you can imagine, Andrew Knapp's goal is north of $10.01 million, so he needs a little help as we move to the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30th of this year. But we've had a lot of great support. The Jans brothers, if any of you know, Tim and Robert Jans gave a very generous almost $3.5 million gift to support our veteran students, both those coming from the military and specifically those heading into the military with STEM degrees. We had endowed gifts to support our music program. We're going to put up a new video scoreboard in the stadium that's going to be state-of-the-art, which will be really great for a Division III school. And even just recently, we found out we received a $1.5 million Robert Noyce Teacher Scholarship Grant that's going to help students that want to become STEM teachers, something that I think our District 205 partners would appreciate. And so the momentum is building for our campaign, Elmhurst 150. We announced on December 6th that we were moving into the public phase of a comprehensive fundraising campaign with the goal of raising $50 million to fund critical opportunities for our students and have a lasting impact on this institution. Our biggest project that we want to undertake is about a 25,000 square foot addition in Memorial Hall. If you walk out, kind of walk by that. It's going to add research space and other things for our health sciences, whether that be nursing, occupational therapy, communication sciences, and others. But it also will have an impact on this community. We'll have potential clinic space for speech pathology and occupational therapy clients from across the Chicagoland area. Second priority is that we want to continue to advance our athletic and recreational facilities. If you've been to the basketball games, you know that we have a refreshed gymnasium that I think really serves that population. We want to do something similar in our stadium. A new video scoreboard's a great start, but a new track, a new synthetic turf, maybe even some new stands would even complete that a little bit more. And it's not just for athletes and coaches, it's for the general student body who uses our recreational spaces and the community that oftentimes comes and benefits from some of the enhancements there. Thirdly, we want to continue to grow our endowment and restricted funds. These funds, provide perpetual funding for key initiatives that are a priority for the institution, and they're essential for maintaining both short-term liquidity and long-term assets to help the university be strong, not just today, but for the next generation of students and the next one beyond that. And that will help us be an even better partner for this community as we look to the future and continue to have cultural opportunities and other things that are important to us. Lastly, we want to raise funds for our annual fund. And those are funds that help the current generation of students through scholarship or other programmatic support and allowing us to continue to be an institution of choice for increasingly record numbers of students. So our goal is ambitious, but I'm pleased to tell you that we've raised over $44 million. So we're closing in on almost 90% of our goal. I'm confident that we'll meet that, but those goals are actually set that you exceed those goals. And so 50 million is kind of like the minimum. And so we have ambitious things ahead of us to secure with regards to fundraising. We've received over 17,000 gifts from 6,300 donors made up of alumni, friends, some other foundations to help us along this drive. And it really means that we just have so much to celebrate, whether it be the Jazz Festival, sports competitions, just student achievement. We were talking at our table about the number of students applying for Fulbright scholarships and Fulbright awards at Elmhurst University. And we're just so proud of all of our students. On the athletic front, though, we're looking forward to our basketball team winning this afternoon and then continuing on in the NCAA playoffs. We had 2 wrestlers that are going to nationals. Our men's and women's track and cross country coaches were named CCIW Indoor Coaches of the Year. We don't have an indoor facility, and we, darn near won the conference. I mean, that's just how good the Elmhurst kids are. And so our success really in many ways is a reflection on the community that we live in. And so thank you. I hope you feel the same source of pride. I hope you're proud to be a Blue Jay, even though we may not give you a swag bag to say that. I'd just like to thank you for coming here. I'm going to close with a video that also touches me. It really shows our students coming at the beginning of the fall. And if you can think as a parent or even back to when you were a student, when you were coming up the drive to the institution that you were going to. I often tell our first generation college students is that when you're coming to campus, even if they're not in the car with you, you need to look in the rear view mirror and see your grandparents and the individuals that came before you that paved the way for you. And then you need to look out the front of the windshield, and you need to see your future, and you need to really seize this particular opportunity. And I think this video really captures both the enthusiasm, excitement. There's two types of parents that come to the fall move-in days. They're those that are peeling the tires out the drive saying, thank God that kid's gone, I'm going to take over their room and what have you. And then they're the parents who you can't have enough Kleenexes for because really their buddy or their friend is going off, and it can be kind of a very emotional day, and this captures all of that.
Happy moving day!
It was a little tricky sleeping last night. It was like before you go on a vacation or before you go on something like that, and it was like, oh boy, here it comes.
It was wild that last night was my last night at home for a while.
At first I was a little stressed, but then we got settled in.
Kind of nervous, don't know what to expect, but I'm ready to see what it holds.
A little overwhelmed, but excited, genuinely.
The longer we're here, the better she's feeling. Good. And us.
This is keeping us busy, so I think it'll hit me later.
Starting to hit that, we're gonna leave and that he's starting a whole new chapter.
It's hitting home pretty good.
Emotional?
Exciting.
Excited, I think.
Emotional.
Gonna feel a little more empty.
We're gonna miss his energy in the house, but we are so happy for him.
He's my buddy, so it's a little tough. Try not to think of the fact that we're parting ways, but I'm excited for what he's got ahead of him.
I'm gonna start crying, so I can't even talk about it, but yeah.
She's my youngest, so it means I'm done with high school.
I get my house back. I got an extra car now. Oh man, no, this is great.
It's momentous because this is actually the first grandson of myself and great-grandson of my mother that's actually gone to college.
My advice is, work hard, play hard, have a good time, and enjoy the experience.
Just keep following your dreams, never back down.
Make friends.
Do all the things, all the activities, talk to all the people. Just make the most and enjoy every minute.
Make sure you get up in the morning and get to school.
Just go to class, have a good time.
Try out some different things.
This is a wonderful opportunity for you, and do the best you can in all parts. He'll be fine.
Continue doing what you were doing at home and do it here. You should be all right.
Take one day at a time. Get into a good routine.
A new chapter of my life is about to happen.
Most excited for? Honestly, just walking around the campus. I'm excited to play baseball.
College experience, meeting new people, having fun. We're about to say goodbye. I know my dad's gonna be taking it a little bit hard. He's a little softy, but love him for it.
I saw my dad, he was kind of tearing up a bit because I'm the oldest in my family, so he's sending off his first kid.
I'm very proud and excited. Yeah, I love her.
All right, before we let you go, I'd just like to mention some upcoming events that I hope you'll join us for. In a few hours, of course, is the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which steps off at noon. On Wednesday, March 9th, a couple of times it's been mentioned, Washington Post columnist, commentator, and author George Will be speaking in Hammersmith Memorial Chapel. On June 7th is our Blue Jay Backer golf outing. And on June 18th is our popular summer concert, June Jazz. And in case you'd like to buy some Elmhurst University swag, our spirit shop is open upstairs until 10 a.m. So with this, I'd like to finally thank you all for coming, and thanks also to our team who helped to put this event together. Have a great day, everyone.